Rain stitched silver lines across the diner windows, and the neon sign hummed like a soft heartbeat over the late lunch rush. Plates slid across the past, coffee steamed in chipped mugs, and conversation rose and fell until it stumbled. A well-dressed woman stood at the counter, eyes searching, voice gentle and steady in Japanese. No one understood. Impatience gathered like storm clouds. A manager's smile tightened. A few heads shook. She wasn't loud. She wasn't demanding. She was simply alone in a room full of people. Then a waitress set down her tray and stepped forward with the one thing. The room was missing understanding. If you believe no one should feel invisible in a crowded room, like this video and subscribe to Kindness Wins. Let's make more space where every voice is heard. By day, the diner ran on habit. And so did Anna. She counted tips by feeling, not by math. She knew which regulars liked extra lemon, which ones pretended they didn't need reading glasses, which truckers would ask for the pie if there was any left. She moved like water around chairs, through doorways, between conversations, as if she'd been poured into the shape of this place. She lived close enough to walk, and most mornings she did, rain or shine. There was a rhythm to her life that made sense. Open at 7, first rush by 8:30, lull at 10:15 that let her reset the condiments and exhale. Between shifts, she texted her mother, checked on her niece's school project, and studied on her phone verbs, kanji, the steady music of another language that had become part of her quiet skill set. Years earlier, she'd made friends with an elderly neighbor who taught her simple phrases over tea. Curiosity did the rest. Practice turns interest into fluency the way drops over time wear a groove into stone. To the people she served, Anna was the one with the quick smile and the steadier memory. The one who made room for a stroller without comment. The one who kept an extra menu in large print by the register. She wasn't the type to correct anyone's assumptions. She let people think what they wanted about waitresses. Temporary, replaceable, and background noise. She knew better. She saw more. That afternoon, the room carried a different charge. Rain had pushed everyone inside, dripping umbrellas and damp coats, turning the diner into a crowded shelter. A table of office workers scrolled inside. A couple argued softly about a calendar. A young man reheated nerves over a job interview. The manager, harried and careful with his politeness, counted heads and ticket times, trying to keep the entire machine humming. Anna moved through it all with that same quiet efficiency until the moment she heard a voice at the counter that didn't match the room's expectations, soft, formal, asking for something the menu didn't say, in a language most of the room had never stopped to hear. She turned, already recognizing the cadence. A language she'd practiced in the margins of her life had finally stepped to the center. It began with a small misunderstanding and gathered weight. The woman's coat was elegant in a way that suggested careful choices, not noise. Her suitcase bore the scratches of long travel, and a folded brochure peeked from its pocket. Museum hours, gallery map, dates that meant a schedule mattered to her. She spoke to the cashier in Japanese, pointed to the soup, and then to her throat with a polite, apologetic smile. The cashier smiled back with the kind of panic people use when they hoped a smile could stand in for comprehension. A nearby customer tried to help by speaking louder, as if volume could cross an ocean. Another guessed she wanted the bathroom and pointed down the hall. The manager, glancing at the backed-up line, asked gently if anyone spoke the language. No one responded. The clock on the wall ticked a little louder. The woman tried again, carefully, miming the shape of a bowl, then flattening her hand and shaking her head. No, as if asking for something to be left out. She placed a hand on her chest, then at the corner of her mouth, a universal sign for caution. A food allergy, Anna realized, watching the gestures line up like words. A few impatient exhales punctured the air. Someone muttered about holding up the line. A teenager snickered into his phone. No one was cruel. It was a softer thing, an erosion of patience that can sand a person down to nothing. The woman's shoulders gathered inward, not defensive, just smaller, as if she were trying to take up less space in a place that seemed to want her to disappear. Quick mid-video prompt. Share a moment when someone understood you without judgment. It might help. Someone reading today. Or drop a word in your language that means, welcome. Let's fill the comments with bridges. Anna felt her tray grow heavier in her hands, as if the room had changed gravity. She set it down on the pass, wiped her palms on her apron, and stepped toward the counter. The manager's eyes met hers with a plea and relief folded together. "Can you?" she read in his expression, even before he asked again if anyone could help. That's when another layer of tension surfaced. Money masked as judgment. Someone recognized the name on the brochure, peeking from the suitcase, a last name that often appeared on plaques, and donor walls around the city. A whisper traveled table to table. "She's that patron. She's wealthy. She can hire a translator." As if wealth removes the need for kindness. As if money dissolves hunger or silence. Anna didn't care about the name. She cared that a person needed to be understood before the room. Transformed her into a spectacle. She took a breath, reached back into the part of her mind where practice lived, and let the words come forward. She began softly, not to surprise her. In careful Japanese, clear, respectful, measured, Anna greeted the woman, introduced herself, and asked how she could help. The room changed to temperature. The woman blinked, and relief moved across her face like light through rain. She replied, words tumbling with the urgency of someone who has been polite for a little too long. Anna listened. Shellfish allergy, concern about the broth, a request for plain rice and ginger tea if the soup wasn't safe. She repeated the details back to be sure, then turned to the kitchen with the same calm, this time in English. Translation humming like a bridge between two shores. The cook, who'd once spent a summer on a fishing boat, snapped to attention, grateful for precision. He set a pot to boil, kept it clear of any cross-contact, and pulled fresh ginger as if it were medicine. Anna returned to the counter with reassurances, safe options, no rush, a seat by the window away from the draft. She didn't announce the woman's identity. She didn't perform. She simply held a space where needs could be named without apology. The room, meanwhile, dealt with the mirror Anna had held up to it. Impatience giving way to curiosity. Curiosity giving way to a softer thing, humility. The teenager put his phone down. The office workers stopped pretending not to watch and started to learn. The manager exhaled in a way that sounded like gratitude. Only when the kettle began to sing did the second reveal unfold. Quietly, naturally. The woman thanked Anna in Japanese and, in that same breath, explained why she was in town. To tour the small art center, her foundation had helped reopen on the edge of the neighborhood. She had slipped into the city with minimal fuss because she didn't want a ceremony. She wanted to see the place where children smeared paint with delight and discovered that making something with your hands can be a way of learning who you are. Anna recognized the name on the brochure then, not as a crown, but as a signature at the bottom of a promise. The woman reached for her wallet, and Anna shook her head. No rush, eat first, warmth before transactions. The tea arrived. So did the rice, simple and safe. The woman's shoulders uncurled. A small, tired smile returned to its rightful place. Around them, silence did a kind thing. It let the moment be what it was, a person understood, and a room learning how quickly care can transform a scene. In the weeks after the rain cleared, the stories around that afternoon diverged and then braided together. The diner printed a second page for the menu, icons for common allergens, a line in small print inviting anyone to point, gesture, draw. "We'll meet you where you are," it said, which turned out to be good hospitality and better humanity. The manager scheduled a short training on language access with a volunteer from the library, and someone put a laminated "We Speak" card near the register where staff could add the languages they knew. Spanish, ASL basics, Mandarin, Arabic, and now Japanese. Anna went back to her quiet routines. But the room saw her differently, not as a translator on call, not as a novelty but as what she had been all along, a person whose attention could change the weather in a room. The regulars tipped in thank you notes as often as cash. A young customer asked where to start learning another language. Anna pointed him toward the library, free apps, and patience. As for the woman, she returned once early, before the lunch rush, to leave a handwritten note that said more than money could. "Thank you for seeing me." She donated anonymously to the library's language programs and sent a small grant to the art center for open studio days so kids could wander in and make whatever they could imagine. None of it felt like a transaction. It felt like a conversation that had finally found the right words. Here's what lingered. Kindness isn't spectacle and dignity isn't a luxury. The room had been full the entire time, of people, of food, of light, and still felt empty until someone chose to listen. Wealth didn't solve the problem. Attention did. Fluency wasn't a party trick. It was a bridge built long before anyone needed to cross it. If this reminds you how being understood changes everything, like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Wins. Tell us the moment that moved you. Your words could be the bridge for someone else.